Welcome back, Seth Bling here, and today I want to show you my new escape simulator level. This level is called Color Wheel, and you can play it for yourself if you've got Escape Simulator. You just search for Color Wheel in the workshop and you'll find the level. If you do want to play it, now would be the time to pause the video and go ahead and grab the level and try it out. Otherwise, I'm going to do sort of a walkthrough of the level, how to complete it, and then I'm going to talk about what went into building the level and some of the design thoughts that I had along the way, and some of the challenges that and just the things that presented themselves after playtesting. So first, I'm gonna do the walkthrough, so that starts right now. The idea behind the level is that everything is monochrome to begin, but as you start to explore the level and complete puzzles, it gets less and less monochrome. Specifically, things sort of follow the color wheel. So we've got green, we've got cyan, stuff over here is blue, there's purple, red, and yellow. I guess click one of these, start to see some yellow. So that's the general theme. That's the theme of the color wheel level. Well, we already got some pipes out of the ground. We've got a 1-up mushroom in our inventory. So this is a sort of like association puzzle. Basically, you can see that there's 7 segment digits on these spinner wheels here. This is a combo lock. And then there's 7 segments, 7 segment markers on the ground. If you click the markers on the ground, they'll toggle on and off. And these don't actually do anything. But basically, when you put the mushroom in a pipe, it may move over to a different slot. It may not. It may stay in the same pipe. If you try this over and over again, you'll notice that the mushroom always goes from the same location to the same destination. Always operates the same. And the way to solve this is to put the mushroom in a pipe, see where it goes, and mark the segment in between where the mushroom started and ended. And as you do that, we'll build up a map of which segments are on and which segments are off. In this case, we get the number 2. And so you just have to basically do this for all 3 of these, and it doesn't take that long. You can use some logic like, since this one doesn't go anywhere, it must not be connected to either of these 2. So these 2 segments are not on. So that's a 7. And then this one is, you guess, not quite yet. This could be a couple different digits. And then this goes over here. It's a 4. This will confirm that it's a 4. So 274. You go over here, you enter the numbers 2, 7, 4. You get a little fanfare, and the part of the color wheel turns into a color wheel. Let's just go around in order. This is the one people found most difficult, I would say, in playtesting and feedback. To start off, you click start, and you get fire in the stove. The door of the stove kind of comes off. It actually has fallen off its hinges and everything. You'll notice there's arrows leading from the stove to the fire, to the bonfire here. These cubes sort of animate. Basically, you might interpret the arrows as needing to get the fire through this sequence of cubes. So basically, each of these boxes can be independently toggled, and they each animate differently. So this one just goes straight up and down. This one turns. This one goes straight up and down. This one turns. But you can also like composite some of these animations. So if you turn this and, or I guess turn this and turn this, or animate this, instead of going up and down, it goes left and right. And so you can basically move the fire through, through all these cubes by picking the correct blocks to animate and the correct ones to leave retracted. So you can do it like this. Transfer the fire from this toilet paper on a shovel to this toilet paper on a shovel, A lot of people thought these were marshmallows, but if you look real close, I guess you can't. It's hard to see. Oh, here we go. There is a toilet paper pattern. This is toilet paper. There's no marshmallows in the editor. And let's see what all the things do for this one. So not quite. There we go. And then we can do this and this. Put this thing up. We get the fire into the fire pit, and the color wheel turns on. Yeah, that one you just have to fiddle around with and just figure out what each block does, and then play around with how to actually make it work. This one is the red one. And as you fire and reset, you'll notice that Cupid's arrow gets shot off and then reset. So this one has shot this arrow, and this one has shot this arrow, and then these guys aren't really pointing at any hearts. So the key to this one is to get all of the hearts lit up. There's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By pointing the Cupids. So this heart, oh yeah. So the Cupids rotate at 90-degree intervals. There's only 4 different directions they can be pointing. So you can't like point this diagonally. It'll snap back to either one of the sides. So the only thing that could point at this one is this guy. The only thing that could point at this one, similarly, this guy. Now this guy is pointing at this one currently. There's nothing pointing at this one. It could be either of these two. This one, the only thing that could point at it is this guy, which has to be pointing that direction, and this guy, which can be pointing at it. So we'll do that. This guy is not pointing at anything. The only thing it can point at is this one, and now all 5 will be lit. Click fire. All 5 are lit. This one is the purple section. Now we see some street lamps. They have a light shining down. There's a bunch of objects that we can't do anything with. They're kind of frozen objects. There is a mat down here called the cloud guide. There's a cloud up here. Down here there's a little animation with a cursor pointing at the cloud, indicating to click on the cloud. When you do, you get purple rain. Now there's purple rain, and as we slide this mat around, we'll notice that the cloud moves with it. And actually I can keep dragging it around as I move. And we can use this purple rain to paint the street lamps purple, which turns them into black light street lamps. So we get little word puzzles here. Actually started working on this before Wordle became big. Yeah, it's not that related to Wordle. There we go. You can also paint this shelf of objects, and when you do, it will become interactable. So you can pick them up. You have a skull, a sword, a spoon, a clock, a shirt, and a chair. So if you start to look at these, you'll notice that some of these objects could go in these slots, and they would match the word puzzles. So C blank 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 could be clock. Blank blank O blank blank could also be clock. So don't know which one goes where. So blank 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 T cannot be chair. It cannot be, well, it could be a shirt. Can't be clock, can't be spoon, can't be sword, can't be skull. So shirt was the only one that matched. We put that there. Likewise, blank 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 N can't be chair, can't be clock, can't be sword, can't be skull, must be spoon. Now we have blank 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 R blank, can't be chair, can't be clock, can't be skull, must be sword. And the only thing remaining that starts with an S is the skull. And then between clock and chair, only clock can fit here, and chair goes here. And there is the purple section. Here is the blue section. There's this TARDIS blueprint here, sort of showing you what a TARDIS is if you don't know. And then there's all these blue TARDIS parts, basically. We have walls, we have a roof, we have 2 doors. There's also a black keyhole back here. It's pretty big. And so I'll just grab all the parts of the TARDIS, and we'll start assembling the TARDIS. So if you put it in the, you can, I guess once it's in the right spot, it stays there. Let's say I try and put the door on the wall, it'll reject it. So I have to put this door in the correct spot. I can look here to see that the door with the sign, which is this one, goes on the left. And then the other door goes here, and then all the walls are actually interchangeable. You can put in any of the 3 slots. Get a nice little sound effect. Now we can pull to open, and go inside of the TARDIS. And the TARDIS is indeed bigger on the inside. And there's a little Frogger mini game here. There's a sign over there that says hold shift to run. And so you can hold shift. And if you're quick about it, oh, I wasn't quick enough. One trick in this game is if you run straight forward, you won't run as fast as if you run diagonally. You will sort of hold forward and strafe. This is a pretty common little like kind of glitch in a game, but if you hold forward and strafe, you go almost 50% faster. And then if you get hit on your way back, it's okay. You just get put back at the beginning spot. So I got that giant key inside the TARDIS, walk out of the TARDIS, and put the key into the keyhole. And after a short animation, we get this, this part turns blue. We already brought up this barrel. This was in the ground. There's these dials on this tub. There's some blocks in the tub that don't appear to have anything written on them. And so this one, when you hover over a dial, you'll see a pipe. And as you rotate the dial, the pipe kind of moves around. So it turns out that's true for each of these. Just get them all out of the ground. And it like sort of highlights which part of the pipe it's interacting with each one. So there's a barrel, there's a tub that looks like it wants to be full of water, and there's a connector. If I move this out of the way, sort of like a connector here and a connector here. So you need to connect the barrel to the tub by moving around these pipe parts, and you do it like this. It doesn't need to be that precise. It'll sort of, there's some wiggle room. Once you get everything aligned, it all snaps into place. It kind of starts filling with water. It was very difficult to get this to look like water. It's actually kind of cool how it all works. But now all these blocks have floated up to the surface and revealed their message. First, letters of words. And if you notice, you can actually grab the first letter of each word. So I'll grab this W, this O, this L, and this F. And we'll put them on here in order. So F, L, O, W. Hello. That was the last segment. And now in the middle of the map, the trophy animates out of the ground, and you grab the trophy, and that triggers the end of the room. So yeah, I want to sort of go over all of this whole map. This took me about a week to build. I did some of it on live stream on Twitch. twitch.tv/SethBling. But quite a bit of it off camera too. This TARDIS is kind of cool. I tried to make it an illusion. You can see it kind of mimics the layout of the room, but it doesn't. None of the stuff on the outside is actually there. So this is basically a copy of the outside. I also try to make an illusion as you go in. So basically, you have to go in far enough, and if you're looking at this wall, it's not that apparent that what's happening, that you're getting teleported to another location where you can actually go around this wall and play Frogger. It's not like a super convincing illusion, but it was fun. I don't know. It's still, you get the idea, right? You can imagine. Let's see. How do I want to talk about this? So yeah, with the TARDIS one, I initially just built a TARDIS that you would like click on this thing on the top. It actually was embedded in the ground. You would click on the bell on the top and it would animate up. And then I made this like illusion thing, and I wasn't sure what to put in here. I changed it because I thought I wasn't sure what puzzle to actually put in here. Just like summoning a TARDIS is not a puzzle. So having this blueprint, obviously blueprints are blue. I was kind of searching for each of these sections to have stuff of that color. So we have, red hearts and yellow flames and green pipes and green 1-up. So blueprints and blue TARDIS were my blue things, as well as a key, but keys can be any color, so that's less cool. So I thought a blueprint would be great, and then since I already had the TARDIS, I basically just broke up the existing TARDIS that I had into pieces and made it a little puzzle. It's not much of a puzzle to sort of construct the TARDIS. And then I tried to think of what can I do that's bigger on the inside, so I needed a puzzle that would take up a lot of space to sort of drive home the fact that the TARDIS is bigger on the inside and that it matters. And I just thought Frogger would be fun. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that's the deal with the blue one. This was actually the first one. The cyan one is the first one that I built. Let's go ahead and restart the map. I basically just had this idea in mind for using dials to move around pieces to line them up. And I also, there's not that many sort of cyan things in day-to-day life, but water is one of those things that's cyan. So actually the tub was the first thing I built, the tub with the water animation. There is no water in this game. There's nothing like called water. So this animation that you'll see in a second here is, it can be hard to get these dials to work. This animation is a portal, which is sort of like a shader object. And then there's each of the walls has sort of a cyan colored plane that animates up with the water, basically up to the exact level of the portal, which is a plane also. And then it also animates a plane onto the bottom so that it looks like, so it looks like water basically. It's white above the plane of the surface of the water, and then cyan below the surface of the water. So this was the first thing, since cyan is sort of a hard color to figure out what to do with. This was the first thing I thought of, and then I wanted there to be some reason that you needed to fill up this tub, and so these floating blocks are what I came up with, and it's just a really simple puzzle. This is very obvious, and flow happens to be a nice, nice term, nice word related to what's going on in this puzzle. You have water flowing from the barrel into the tub, and this is very easy, but the whole room is intended to be just easy. This is more like a showcase of how to be creative with puzzles in this game, more so than like making a difficult escape room that's challenging and requires all of your mental power. So I wanted all these puzzles to be pretty easy and not really for anyone to get stuck on them or anything or need help. So this one, I decided on pipes, and then later decided that if you have a pipe, you need something to go through the pipe, and that could be players, but I thought that would maybe look a little jarring. Teleporting players around is, I don't know, it can be jarring in this game. So what's green and goes into a pipe? Well, there's Yoshi and there's one-up mushrooms. So grab the one-up mushroom and that triggers the pipes animating on the ground. So I figured out pipes and one-up mushroom first, and then I decided that, basically that the puzzle should involve figuring out which pairs of pipes go together. And the 7-segment display was sort of a natural way to use that. So one weird thing about this, or interesting aspect in terms of designing a puzzle around this, is that these segments on the ground don't do anything, but it can be kind of hard to convey to a player that they don't do anything. They're just used for marking. You don't have to use them. Like, you can solve the puzzle without using them. And in fact, some of the playtesters did solve the puzzle without using these. They just sort of mentally tracked where the mushroom is going. And if you start on the top left, especially with these first 2 digits, you can just follow the path of the mushroom, and it forms a 2, and then it forms a 7. It doesn't quite work with the 4 because basically the 4 does this if you follow the path, and then it goes back up. So you need to actually backtrack to grab the last segment of the 4. But what I noticed was it was okay if people didn't know whether or not these segments did anything, because basically what they would do is they would try putting in the mushroom, then toggling a segment, then putting in the mushroom again, and just seeing if anything changed. And eventually they would notice that nothing changed when you like did anything with the segments. And so they figured out that the segments were just markers. So it's one of those things where like it could be bad if a player isn't sure whether or not these have to do with the puzzle, or whether or not these like affect the mechanics of the puzzle. But in this case, just with enough exploration, the player will just figure out that the segments don't really do anything. I put these lines underneath these after some play testing, because some people were kind of approaching it from this direction, and obviously 7-segment displays look the same from this direction. This is this is only a digit if you look at it from this direction. It's only so they're all actually, no, the 2 can be looked at either way, but the 7 and the 4 are unique in their orientation. So you would eventually figure it out, but it also helped me connect these 7-segment displays over there to these 7-segment displays over here. I put these gray lines underneath to kind of help orient and connect the 2 sets of 7-segment numbers. They're called 7-segment displays, by the way, because they're 7 segments. I don't know. It's obvious to me because I've done a lot of work with them in the past, and especially in Minecraft, they're pretty common. But I guess not that I've ever really made one in Minecraft. So the yellow one, again, fire was a very obvious thing to me. There is some fire effects in the game. So I was trying to figure out how you would go about building a puzzle around fire. I decided on moving fire from one place to another by lighting torches. The only torches in the editor, let me just search for torch, are kind of weird to use because they're on a torch holder and you cannot remove them from the torch holder. So I decided I didn't want to go with the built-in torches. So I made my own torches and it's toilet paper on a shovel. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people thought they were marshmallows because of the presence of the campfire, which is fine. You can light marshmallows on fire anyway. So yeah, I made as soon as I saw this like raging fire in a stove, obviously this thing is just totally malfunctioning. I decided that the door should, instead of just opening smoothly, should just animate off. It shouldn't be there. This was just something I came up with, this idea of like having these blocks that animate like this. It's a way of creating a puzzle. Like there's many ways to move things in this game, right? There's the dials here. You could have had dials which control these things or rotate things smoothly. I decided that these buttons are nice, like binary. Toggling a button is a binary operation. It gets on or off, and so it's something that's a little bit easier to reason about. There's only so many different states of these blocks, which made it easier for me as a puzzle creator too, to think about like which sets of states would allow you to transfer fire from one to the other. And so yeah, a lot of people had trouble with this one. I think there were various problems. Some people, it took them a while to figure out that you could toggle more than one block at a time. They just assumed you had to undo one block before doing the next, which inhibited their ability to make progress. And then other people, I think, or some of the same people, just had trouble reasoning about where a torch would end up if you like toggled some of the blocks. It's not obvious, like when these extend, they also rotate. So it's not obvious, like some of them just go straight up and down. Just by looking at it, you can't tell these rotate and this one doesn't. So it just became, for some people, kind of hard to reason about. And there was just a lot of trial and error for some people. But, wonder, so I've had people saying that there's a bug where you can't, sometimes you can't light the middle one. I wonder if this is what's going on, if they're getting into this sort of situation. Now it is possible to light it. There's like, yeah, it just depends on which blocks you, I don't know. Anyway, it's definitely very possible to light it. I think there might actually be a bug with it though, but I haven't been able to reproduce it. But yeah, so just keep going with these. You play around with these enough, you'll figure it out. But some people just thought it was a little too fiddly. Some people didn't notice also that this campfire is on a cube that you have to raise up in order to finish the final level. This doesn't quite reach the fire, but then you press the button. Fire transfers over just fine. I added these arrows after some playtesting. I think people didn't really realize that a lot of people didn't realize that the objective was to take the fire over here and get it over here. So these arrows sort of convey that each of these things will need to carry fire in turn. I think this was a really good addition. I think it removed all confusion about what the goal of this was. You still had to solve the puzzle, right? You still have to go through the mechanics of figuring out how these stacks work and how to manipulate them in the right way. But it just removes a lot of the frustration involved in not knowing what you're supposed to do in a puzzle. This one, I don't think anybody had a problem with. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. You press the fire button, you see that the arrow hits a heart. The only unexpected thing was somebody thought, one of the playtesters thought it was a timing puzzle because these things rotate. So they thought like maybe if you shoot it when the heart is like perpendicular to the cupids, maybe that's the timing that you need to have. And, basically took the playtester a while to notice that you could rotate these things. But once you start to try, a lot of people try this one first. I'm not sure why. I think it's just the closest one. But they would try this one, pointing it over at this heart, and notice that they couldn't point it that way. And then it becomes very apparent that there's 4 stops on this rotation. And, from there, it's just a very easy logic puzzle. I don't know. You look at it for a little bit, and you'll eventually figure out the orientation you need on the cupids. This one, yeah, this one's probably the easiest puzzle just overall. I guess the blue one, it's not really much of a puzzle either. I'm really proud of these arrows. I had to like add custom textures for these feathers on the back, but they're actually at 120 degree increments. I think the arrows look pretty nice. They do actually animate too. You can see actually, well, they don't stop at the heart is the only thing. Like you can watch the one in the back shooting that heart. Keeps going. But and then the reset animation, if you look real close, you'll notice that like it resets into the arrow, into the bow, I mean. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Anyway, the Purple Rain one. I had a hard time coming up with things that were purple. Somebody in chat suggested Purple Rain, and I couldn't think of anything better. So we made this really nice looking storm cloud. I actually really like how the storm cloud looks. It's like shiny and gray. It looks very cartoony. And then we decided to attach it to this mat so you can drag it around. This mat has another... what is it? Never mind. No, that's not true. The mat, you cannot get it out of this section. That's one important thing. I wanted all these puzzles to be isolated, and I want the players to like know that the puzzles were isolated. And so it's important that you can't really like make something like this move to another section. You might think you need to paint something like purple and yellow to make it, I don't know, red, or I just really wanted players to know that they're independent. Oh yeah, the animation, there's like a little pointing finger animation. People were pretty quick to pick up on what that meant. They didn't always get it like immediately, but because it kind of looks like, you know, yeah, you can click on this thing and drag it around. Maybe that's what it means, but it doesn't go away. And yeah, you look at the cloud and click on it. I needed to have this because, like I said, one of the like guiding principles of this map is that each section started off monochrome. So I couldn't have Purple Rain coming down at the beginning of the map because then there would be something purple. But then you click on it to turn it on. These street lamps took a lot of work to get them to look kind of like black lights. It still is not the best sort of illusion, but and I maybe could have done a little bit more in terms of just not copying this texture from one to the other. But I thought this was a fun little puzzle. It's like there's a little bit of logic required. You know, you take the sword and there's I have to actually put this over here. You take the sword and you look at where it can go. It can go here, you can go here, you can go here. So you got to actually like logic out a little bit where things can go. It turns out by accident I actually made it go from left to right. So if you take the leftmost object and you put it in the leftmost slot and the second leftmost, etc., the spoon is slightly to the... I don't know. I guess it's a little subjective what counts as leftmost. But, I saw some playtesters kind of get lucky and because of that, because they were in order. So maybe I should have moved them around just a little bit so that they weren't quite in order like that. But these don't look as good once the ground is purple. They have these white rings around them. That's because the white is part of the texture. Where are we? Here whoa, this thing is sliding off on its own for some reason. I haven't seen that before. So like the white is part of the texture to blend in with the white grounds before you solve the puzzle, but there is actually like some white to this texture, and so when the ground turns purple, the white texture is still there, and it sort of looks like a ring around it. But it's not a big deal. Haven't had anyone complain about it. So once again, this one, oh no, I already talked about this one. That's the whole map. Yeah, my goal here was to make something really pretty easy. I wanted to sort of push the envelope on what puzzles people are putting in their escape rooms. A lot of people will use kind of very standard, the same sorts of puzzles. They'll have a lot of combo locks, and they'll have a lot of keys that you have to find. And I guess this one has a key and it has a combo lock, but it's also got like pipes that you have to line up with each other and like a little word puzzle. I wanted to sort of push the envelope on what puzzles people are putting in their escape rooms. A lot orienting a bunch of dials to match a template. You have to solve a little logic puzzle here to actually figure that out. I don't know. I guess they're not that like crazy creative. I think this one is actually very creative. I haven't seen anything like this, where you have to sort of figure out how these composited animations line up and how to manipulate positions of objects with them. Certainly the aesthetic is very different from other escape rooms I've seen in this game. First of all, just the fact that it's a circular room. It took a lot of work to actually get this all to work. By the way, this whole thing is in one giant trash can. This is a trash bin here. Victorian trash can. And then over here is the second copy of the room for the TARDIS, right? You can see this is where you play Frogger. There's the objects that animate in from off screen, and then there's a second copy of the room here. Yeah. Yeah. I thought the puzzles ended up fun because they're light. You don't really get stuck on them, and so you don't have to. I don't know. It's not meant to be challenging though. Not really. All right. Well, I guess that's all about all I have to say for this one. Thanks for watching.